Hello YouTube, Jeff Kelly here. I wanted to do a brief history of the high standard riot guns, police and military shotguns. And you might wonder why we're staring at a M1 carbine. Well, the reason for that is the high standard shotguns started about 1926 by a gentleman by the name of Carl Sobelius, and around 1950 he hired a man named Fred Humston, and that's why the M1 carbine is sitting there, because Fred Humston during World War II was the actual designer of the M1 carbine. It's sometimes, well, it's always credited to this David Marsh Williams or Carbine Williams who designed it, but he only designed a very small component of the M1 carbine. It was the short stroke tappet type gas piston. The rest of the gun, which you see there, was designed by Fred Humston, and in 1950 Gus Sebelius of High Standard hired Fred Humston away from the Western Cartridge Company, which was the parent of Winchester, to come over to High Standard and design a shotgun. And Fred Humston came up with the design that was based on a tipping rear locking bolt and slide assembly. The bolt locked into a recess in the receiver ceiling. The design not only was simplified, was a simplified improvement, but it was also more economical to produce than its predecessors. In final form, the Humston gun was a 5-shot streamlined, side ejecting, tipping bolt, single action bar, tube magazine, slide action shotgun. And Sears and Roebuck owned a large portion of High Standard stock, and they wanted the first shot at selling this shotgun, and they called it the J.C. Higgins Model 20 pump action shotgun. After Sears was done selling it, High Standard reintroduced it with some cosmetic changes on the outside, getting rid of the ventilated rib, and made it a field grade shotgun called the Flight King in 12 gauge and in 16 gauge. And in 1962, High Standard decided to get into the police weapons market, and they were lucky they did, because in 3 years, within 3 years, the Watts riots occurred, a lot of upheaval in the country occurred, and they had well positioned themselves to take advantage of that. So there was 2 salesmen at the High Standard Company called William J. Donovan and Edward Lomax, and they both saw the need for the police law enforcement shotguns. They decided to use the Humston Flight King Action, and the Action had proven over the 1950s to be highly dependable as a field grade gun. And for the combat point of view, the Action was particularly effortless to operate because of its free-falling bolt and its smooth, short forearm stroke, which afforded very fast functioning. Further, the gun also possessed a disconnector, unlike the slam fires of the Model 12, the Model 1897 Winchesters, and the Ithaca Model 37 of later years, which prevented unwanted discharges when officers most of whom were conditioned to self-loading weapons, reciprocated the forearm while holding the trigger back. It was obvious to the engineers that the Humston mechanism was fully combat qualified. This was the first iteration of the police shotgun. It was a Flight King. It had a 20 1/4 inch cylinder bore barrel. It had a 5-round tubular magazine with one in the chamber, so it could hold 6 rounds. It was 39 3/4 inches long, weighed 7 pounds, unloaded. It could also use accessories such as bayonet adapters and grenade launchers for real grenades or tear gas. And it was totally designed to withstand tough treatment. The stock and the fore end were walnut with just an oil finish, and the barrel and the magazine tube were permanently fixed to the receiver. It had slings and swivels, were also attachable to the gun, and it was received very well by police departments. The second iteration was a little different. I'll show you that now. And this is the second one. It had a 7-shot tubular magazine with one in the chamber, which would give it 8 shots. It was a 20 1/4 inch barrel. They just lengthened the magazine underneath the barrel, and it was 39 3/4 inches long, 7.3 pounds. It had a standard shotgun bead sight on the typical high standard ramp. The magazine lug was moved to within 2 inches of the muzzle, and the longer extended magazine was used in place of the shorter one. The gun was to have the key high standard have become the key high standard police gun until an engineer pointed out that that a similar model would, in an 18-inch variety, would be easier to move around the patrol cars. This one also had a problem because it could no longer shoot grenades because the barrel wasn't long enough to take the tear gas grenade adapter or put a bayonet adapter on the end of it. So this one never really went too far as a police shotgun. So the next stab at the Riot shotguns were these two right here. The one there on the bottom was the standard short police shotgun. It had a bead sight on a raised ramp, and it was easy to move around in a patrol car. It's only 18 inches long, and it was 37 3/4 inches in overall length. The barrel was 18 inches long, weighed 7.1 pounds. It could hold 6 rounds in the magazine and 1 in the chamber, so it could take 7 rounds. And this was introduced in 1965 right when the riots were happening, and it was very successful. The one on the top, as you can see, has got a pair of sights on it, and it was introduced as a slug gun, but they still had a cylinder bore barrel on it. They say it would have been a little more accurate if they had put a choked barrel on it for slugs, but it served the purpose very well. And these two were quite popular during the 60s. They tried to introduce the high standard into the Air Force bidding and the military bidding for a shotgun, and because the barrels didn't come out for cleaning, they were rejected. And also what became popular around 1967-68 was the Model 10, which was a auto shotgun. So I also got the date codes. I'm going to insert those at the end of the video, so you'll be able to see, if you have a high standard shotgun, what year it was made. So I'll insert that. I know the one on the bottom there was made in October of 1968. It was one of the last ones made without a serial number, because October 22nd of 68, the horrible 1968 gun law, the Gun Act of 68 was passed, and everything after that had to have serial numbers on it. So let me put up the date codes. Okay, I just thought I'd show you them all together and how they evolved. The first one was made in 1966, but that was actually the first shotgun that came out. The second one was made in 64, third one was made in 68, and then the fourth one is later. But it's similar to the type that was made in the 66, 67 time frame that I was talking about. So these are all correct in the way they look. Just wanted to show you where the date code is on these, and it's right here by the receiver. I hope you can see that there, but it's right here, and that says JS for the date code. Now, I'll give you a better picture of the date code at the end, but here's how it looks and how it reads. So you can always tell when a high standard shotgun was made and what month. And then I got my information out of this book right here, World's Fighting Shotguns. Really an excellent book on shotguns, and you can still get that on Amazon. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.